So how does rhythm apply to conflict? All right, the other day I made a video about rhythm applied to daily life. Now I'm going to talk about rhythm in relation to conflict. And this comes from Miyamoto Musashi's Book of Five Rings. The easiest way to understand rhythm from a conflict standpoint is to think about how quickly people move. In general, a lot of times when two people get in the ring, they'll kind of match speed. Not always. Some people are a little bit faster, some people are a little bit slower, but often their rhythm will kind of match. Specifically when we're talking about kind of general average fighters, even maybe that are on a pretty high competitive level, but they're evenly matched. Occasionally, you will get someone who is on a different level that understands this concept. They may articulate it a different way, but they will set their own pace. When you get one person who's naturally very quick, and you have one person who's maybe not as quick, what will happen is the slower person will sometimes try to match the pace of the person who's really fast. This puts them out of rhythm with themselves, and they're going to feel like they're rushing. Musashi talks about this in the Book of Five Rings. He gives a musical example where he talks about how a certain play has a musical accompaniment and it has kind of a fast pace. And if one of the players gets a little bit behind on the drum, they're trying to catch up and they get out of rhythm and it ruins the song. And he gives a couple other examples of just how some music is slow, some music is fast, and if you get out of rhythm with it, it'll mess it up. If you look at anyone that can perform a physical skill, when somebody's really good at anything physical, even if it's something that moves pretty quickly, they won't seem like they're exerting a lot of effort. They're just doing something that's natural to them. I've seen a really skilled woodworker give a demonstration on how to build a Windsor chair. And he starts with this huge log that he splits several times because he's going after a specific type of wood for a specific part of the chair. So you got a guy with an axe splitting a log. It's a very physical thing. But if you watch him, he's so good at it, it doesn't really look like he's exerting a lot of effort. You see this too when people are really skilled at anything physical. They might be doing something fast, but it doesn't have the same perception as someone who's trying to be fast that's not fast. So if you find yourself in some kind of a competition or a real confrontation with someone who's faster than you, instead of trying to match their speed, you can upset their rhythm by actually slowing down a little bit and intentionally moving a little bit slow. And as Musashi would say, when you see their rhythm changes, that's when you strike. That might seem a little bit weird, but if you do any kind of competition or sparring or in some kind of a class, play with it a little bit and see what happens. Even if you're mixing it up with somebody who's kind of maybe you're basically the same speed, try moving a little bit faster and seeing if they try to catch up with you, and then go back to your normal speed and see what happens. Or move a little bit slower and the same thing. The point is identify the rhythm of how they move and work against it to play some psychological games. All right. Rhythm's a big subject. We could talk about it for a long time. I just wanted to introduce the idea and maybe start a little discussion about it. So I will probably come back to it. If you're in anything competitive, it doesn't have to be competitive fighting. It could be something else. But or even if you're not interested in any kind of competitive martial arts or you have no combative interest at all, when you're looking at any kind of physical skill, music, carpentry, whatever, if you observe someone who's really good at it and don't just look at the speed they're moving, but just the energy they give off, there's a rhythm to that. If you can identify that, be patient with yourself and day by day polish your own skill, you'll find yourself getting close to that. Don't imitate it, but I feel like I should have an easier time explaining this because I've thought about it a lot. But just give rhythm a little bit of thought if you haven't in the past. We'll revisit it, and I'm gonna stop babbling now. So go read a book.